Mike, and I keep doing that, I'm sorry. And I just do not like it that, yeah, your last name and his first name is a twisty for me. Mike! Except I really want to ask Mr. Michael this question. Every arrow is a, Mr. Michael? You know this. Which is why I'm asking you. Journal entry. Every arrow is a journal entry. So Mike, what would be the journal entry to recognize cost of goods manufactured? Were you paying attention when Jennifer was giving us this answer, our answer?
I don't understand the question.
What is the journal entry to recognize cost of goods manufactured?
That arrow right there? I don't know.
Yeah, that arrow. Give me the journal entry for that arrow.
Work in process. I don't understand.
What is a journal entry? What characteristics does a journal entry have?
I don't know.
Have you ever seen a journal entry before?
Yeah.
Very good answer, because I'm sure you have. If you took the class before this, I'm sure you've seen a journal entry before. So journal entries have what? They have a debit and a credit, and the totals of the debits and credits must what? Be equal. Right? The debits must equal the credits. Then it becomes a journal entry. So what is the journal entry for the arrow? As you correctly pointed it out, it's an arrow. What's the journal entry for the arrow cost of goods manufactured? What are we debiting? Follow the arrow. Just kind of check it out.
Debiting finished goods and crediting work in process.
Precisely correct. Debiting finished goods and crediting work in process. That, ladies and gentlemen, is a journal entry. Right? That, ladies and gentlemen, is a journal entry. A debit and a credit. Right? You all are really kind of tired today. Please do get sleep the night before the test. I want you to do well, and I don't want you to muff it up because you weren't awake. You were falling asleep. What's the name of the arrow between finished goods and cost of goods sold, Melissa?
It's the cost of goods sold. Finished.
Yes, it is. Between finished goods and cost of goods sold is cost of goods sold, Dr. Professor. That's all it is. That's exactly correct. I had to think about it for a moment, but that's exactly correct. Davis, what's the name of the arrow between cost of goods sold and the income statement? Adjusted cost of goods sold. Scott, what's it adjusted for? It's adjusted for the income statement? But you do know. Ashton, do you remember? What's it adjusted for?
I'm not really sure.
What page are we on?
Well, it's supposed to be 109, but I wrote it on the wrong page because I wasn't here this day, and I copied it from his.
I'm not sure that's quite right, though. He's missing something. That number goes. Oh, no, there it is. There it is. There it is. There it is. Yeah.
It's there.
Yes.
Yes.
It's adjusted for that number. What is that number?
The manufacturing overhead?
What about manufacturing overhead?
The over-applied
The
manufacturing.
over-applied. And so what is adjusted cost of goods sold adjusted for? It's adjusted for over or under-applied manufacturing overhead. Right? Both. Although you'll typically only have one in a particular problem, over or under-applied manufacturing overhead. Anthony, yes, sir.
If it's underapplied, we put it on the debit side, that's cost of goods sold.
It's the reverse. Was it over-applied before, and we put it on the credit side? So yes. I mean, I think of it as, it will always go on the same side. Over-applied will always go on the same side. Under-applied will always go on the same side. You can memorize that, or you can just recognize all we're doing is kind of zeroing out the manufacturing overhead account. So which account, and I just kind of gave somebody the answer, Anthony, if you were listening. Which account is different? Of the Magnificent Seven that we've just named, which one's different than how we did it on the first test? In some sense, yes, but what's the cause of cost of goods sold being different? It's being adjusted for what? Yeah, so which T account, and so you just said it. Manufacturing overhead's really, although, I mean, you're right in saying that cost of goods sold is also treated different, but it's, cost of goods sold is treated different because manufacturing overhead's being treated different. Joe, what goes on the debit side of the manufacturing overhead T account? I'm looking for one word beginning with the letter A. Where's your handy handouts? They don't do you much good there. Armando, do you know what goes on the debit side of the manufacturing overhead T account? Label would have been back before page 108.
92.
Page 92? Page 92. Actual costs go into, sorry. Actual costs go into, on the debit side. What goes on the credit side, Megan? Applied. Katie, how are we doing? Do you know how to calculate applied manufacturing overhead?
Probably not. I don't have the notes for this one.
Did you not watch the video?
I'm getting to it.
But the test is like soon.
I have Saturday. I've worked every day since, or before then.
Extra, do you know? What is it? PDOR times actual activity, and that's going to calculate what? Applied manufacturing overhead. And where do we put that number, Holden? Credit side of manufacturing overhead. Where's that number go to, Nick, from the credit side of manufacturing overhead? It goes to work in process. So Tyson, how would you write the journal entry to recognize applied manufacturing overhead?
You would credit manufacturing overhead and debit work in process.
Precisely correct. Precisely correct. You would debit work in process and credit manufacturing overhead for whatever that amount was, for applied manufacturing overhead. What's PDOR stand for, Robina? You forgot?
No, I didn't forget. I just.
You do it blank. Do you know?
I think so.
What?
Predetermined overhead rate.
Predetermined overhead rate. And how do you calculate it again, Tony? How do you calculate a predetermined overhead rate?
Estimated manufacturing overhead over estimated activity.
Estimated manufacturing overhead divided by estimated activity. Brittany, what's another word for the what's another word that you might see in place of the word estimated? Budgeted. Budgeted or forecasted or something like that, right? You might encounter in place of the word estimated, okay?